welcome to UC today. My name is Kieran, and today's session is about ensuring your compliance through secure video and voice capture. I am delighted to be joined by Dave Scott, Senior Director of Product Management at Veritas. David, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kieran.
Before we dive into the meat of the topic itself, can you please tell us a bit about yourself, Dave, and the work you do with Veritas?
Yeah, sure. I've been with Veritas for about 30 years, which is frightening in its own right. I've been in product management most of that time. And with the in the space of surveillance and e-discovery, really since about 2006, I run the product management team for the digital compliance portion of the business.
Perfect. And that level of experience and expertise makes you the perfect candidate to discuss this topic at its centre. Before we dive into some of the challenges and all the specific products that Veritas produce, I'm quite curious to pick your brain about where we are heading as we approach 2024. What kinds of privacy and compliance challenges are organizations facing as we head into the new year?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I think it's just the evolution, like everything with data privacy started with GDPR. Now every country has their own version of GDPR. And now, of course, with the US being the US, every state has their own iteration, variation on it. And so I think the complexity of just so many different variations, 90% overlap, but then there's nuances in every case. Being up on that and staying up on that, if you're a multinational company or even just a US-based company, it's evolving constantly. I think that's the biggest challenge.
Great. And I guess one area that Veritas is really targeting as a pain point for customers that I think has become a really massive thing this year in particular is how unmonitored communications has become a major challenge for these organizations, video being notable in that regard. How do you convert video into something usable for compliance reasons?
It's a great question. I mean, first of all, you want to have a consistent form of transcription. And what I mean by that is that some audio sources, Zoom and Teams, have their own transcription, and that's great. It's decent. But having a single central source ensures that you get consistency. A lot of our customers are using 4 or 5 different sources, mobile, Teams, turret lines. And to get that single, kind of consistent way of transcribing into text is really, really important. And then on top of that, you want to make sure you're doing transcription of voice prior to indexing and classification. By doing that, you can use all of your AI and classification policies against not only your text-based communication, but also voice. So again, consistent results, and it just works into the same workflow and review process.
Great. And I think you touched on a question I was actually going to ask a bit later, but we might as well just dive into it now. What would you say are the specific benefits for organizations doing transcription before classification?
Well, it's really that idea that you're looking for the same kind of things in a voice communication and with a text or an email. You're looking for someone, I mean, for us, it's all about dodgy behavior, bad things being done, whether it's insider trading, money laundering, or just abuse of the actual client. There's a huge scandal around inappropriate advice to the elderly, risky stocks and things like that would really not make sense for someone of retirement age on a fixed income. You're looking for the exact same things, regardless of the channel used for communication. And then on top of that, you're also looking for, as you said, the off-channel communications. And an off-channel communication just means that a broker is obviously trying to bypass detection. So they'll say, okay, let's stop talking about that. Call me on my home number. Call me, let's go meet for coffee, something like that. And so having the ability to detect that type of conversation, having policies around looking for like that off-channel communication is also really, really important, whether it's in email, whether it's in voice.
Perfect. And I think it's quite interesting to move on to the tools that organizations can acquire to help them in these challenges. What sort of tools can organizations use, firstly, for capturing video and audio securely?
Well, a lot of the large financials are using voice recorders. So using Verint, Verba, Redbox. There's a number of them out there. Verint is probably the biggest player. So that's kind of a catch-all solution where it will actually not only capture the content, but it'll store it long term as well. Then what we do is pull the content from those recorders and bring it into the workflow alongside of email and all the other communications. We also can capture directly. When it comes to a meeting like this one, where we've got a Teams conversation, a Zoom conversation, we can capture that directly through our own capture mechanisms, and we can even ensure compliance capture, meaning that we make sure that we actually force the recording to be recorded, and if it's video, capture the video. And then on top of that, once we've recorded all of that, we transcribe and classify. And we can also look for video cues and audio cues within the audio and video that also can add value and enrich the metadata. Like, is this person lying? Is this person interested? What's the sentiment based on the text that's being said, the words that are being said, based on the audio, the cadence, the tone, the pitch, and based on video cues as well. So there's a lot of kind of enrichment that can take place that helps guide you as a reviewer to the conversations you might want to take a closer look at.
Perfect. And I think it's interesting to discuss about, again, it's just properly going past myself to my next questions, which is fantastic. We love the level of comprehensive detail and about specifically transcription tools. The importance you've touched on in advanced transcription and meeting these new regulatory requirements and safeguarding against privacy risks. If you could please give us a bit more specific detail on the best transcription tools for organizations to use, expanding on your previous answer, please.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. Yeah, I mean, it is a bit of you think of transcription and you get sort of a big brother kind of a view, or, there's some of these things you only can use in cases where you have to have some level of enforcement. But there is incredible usefulness in even just for the average knowledge worker transcribing their meetings, just for future uses. In terms of tools, things to look for, you want a tool that can be customized. You want to be able to have it learn over time. There are some capabilities that we're exposing that leverage Gen AI and take advantage of kind of what's being said out there in the zeitgeist, like helping with political leaders' last names in different countries. Like, if that's out there, they'll have a much better chance of transcribing that properly. Or company names, or things that are trending. Language as it evolves. We didn't talk about COVID or Brexit or some of these other things a few years ago. And now it's part of the common language. So you would expect to be able to transcribe that word, whereas 3 years ago, that would have been a nonsense word. So adjusting to things as they change. The idea as well of what can you do with the transcript and what can you do based on what you've heard? Can you summarize what was said? Like, again, if you're thinking in the mindset of a surveillance reviewer, they're used to looking at an email, very quick email, being done with it. Now they're looking at a 2-hour conversation between a broker and a client, and they've got to jump to the interesting bits very, very quickly. So you want to be able to trigger on keywords that are important. You want to look at sentiment when the customer got angry. You want to look at a summarization of the entire call and the customer's sentiment versus the broker-dealer's sentiment. All of these things are great cues to lead you to doing better and faster transcription, faster review of the item.
Perfect. And I guess my final question before I let you go, what is Veritas's feature roadmap heading into next year at this stage?
Feature roadmap in terms of transcription specifically?
Well, we can focus on transcription, but just quite broadly, what sort of new features, new products are you guys releasing that you're really excited about over the next few months, or even next 12 months or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've got a lot of kind of concept areas that we're building out, big ticket items. Like, we're doing a lot for our core plumbing of the product with getting our FedRAMP certification for our cloud solution. But in terms of product specific, we're looking at how we can evolve our e-discovery solution so that it can help you better understand your content at source. We call this upstream e-discovery, and it's an idea we've sort of had in the product to some extent for a while, where we can do either journaling of content into the archive, or we can do targeted collection at the time of a case where you're going to source and pulling in the information relevant. What we want to do in the future, though, is have a better understanding in near real time of content being created. So when a litigation comes along or a FOIA request, we can surgically collect the content that's relevant to the case. On the surveillance side, we keep expanding our machine learning capabilities. And the whole idea with surveillance is you've got to get through a large amount of content very, very quickly and deem what is relevant and what is irrelevant. So the key to our success there is always improving our signal to noise ratio. Get rid of the noise through AI and classification policies, and surface the relevant content through AI and classification policies, but also by learning from what reviewers are actually choosing. If they say this is relevant, we look at the characteristics of that message and apply that to future learnings. This is particularly interesting in that now, in the past, our machine learning was binary. It was either it's relevant or it isn't. Now we're going to get into the idea of it's relevant and it's a case of off-channel communication, relevant in money laundering, relevant and and on and on. So it'll be a lot richer and a lot more powerful.
Well, I think that's a fantastic way to end the interview. And I personally am really fascinated. As you say, it's really interesting seeing AI and machine learning develop beyond these vague concepts into things that are really becoming palpable use cases now. I think that 2024, if 2023 was the year of AI, is this big buzzword, I feel 2024 is when as you guys know as well as anyone, that this is where people would, even the average layperson are really going to really appreciate how AI will meaningfully, tangibly improve their lives and their work lives as well. So yeah, no, that's a terrific way to know. But this has been a great session. I've really enjoyed discussing it. So thank you, Dave, for being here.
Thank you, Kieran. It's great talking with you. And yeah, it's a very exciting time for Veritas. And as you say, the promise of AI, the promise of all of these tools is now finally starting to manifest in real features that help our customers.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share on social media, and we'll see you next time. I've been Kieran Devlin of UC Today. Thanks for watching.